Hello and welcome to the special series on technical writing. We are going to discuss a number of important factors that have to be properly understood and implemented to make your writing effective. Unity is singleness of purpose and focus. A unified paragraph or document has a central idea and does not digress into unrelated topics. The logical sequence provided through outlining is essential to achieving unity. Presenting ideas in a logical sequence is the most important requirement in achieving coherence, which is a logical, orderly and aesthetically consistent relationship of parts. The key to achieving a logical sequence is the use of a good outline. An outline forces you to establish a beginning, middle and an end. That structure contributes greatly to coherence by enabling you to experiment with sequences and lay out the most direct route to your purpose without digressing. Check your draft carefully for coherence during revision. If possible, have someone else review your draft for how well it expresses the relationships between ideas. Such help is especially important in collaborative writing, where team member contributions need to be blended into a coherent document. Pace is the speed at which you present ideas to the reader. Your goals should be to achieve a pace that fits your audience, purpose and context. The more knowledgeable the reader is about the subject, the faster your pace can be. Be careful though not to lose control of the pace. In the sentences where facts are piled on top of each other at a rapid pace leads to confusion. The same facts, when presented in two or more easily assimilated sentences, gives clarity to the communication. Clarity is essential to effective communication with your readers. You cannot achieve your purpose or a goal like persuasion without clarity. Many factors contribute to clarity, just as many other elements can defeat it. A logical method of development and an outline will help you avoid presenting your reader with a jumble of isolated thoughts. A method of development and an outline that puts your thoughts into a logical, meaningful sequence brings coherence as well as unity to your writing. Clear transition contributes to clarity by providing the smooth flow that enables the reader to connect your thoughts with one another without conscious effort. Proper emphasis and subordination are mandatory if you want to achieve clarity. If you do not use these two complementary techniques wisely, all your clauses and sentences will appear to be of equal importance. Your reader will only be able to guess which are the most important, which are the least important and which fall somewhere in between. Point of view establishes through whose eyes or from what vantage point the readers view the subject. A consistent point of view is essential to clarity. If you inappropriately switch from the first person to the third person in the mid sentence, you are certain to confuse your reader. Precise word choice contributes to clarity and helps eliminate ambiguity and awkwardness. Vague words, cliches, poor use of idiom and inappropriate usage detract from clarity. That conciseness is a requirement of clearly written communication should be evident to anyone who has ever attempted to decipher an insurance policy or a legal contract. For the sake of clarity, remove unnecessary words from your writing. Effective transition helps build unity as well as coherence, because transitional terms clarify the relationship of each part to what precedes it. Writing is coherent when the relationship among ideas are clear to readers. The major component of coherent writing are a logical sequence of related ideas and clear transitions between these ideas. Transition is the means of achieving a smooth flow of ideas from sentence to sentence, paragraph to paragraph, and subject to subject. Transition is a two-way indicator of what has been said and what will be said. It provides readers with guideposts for linking ideas and clarifying the relationship between them. Transition can be obvious. For example, having considered the technical problems outlined in this proposal, we move next to the question of adequate staffing. Transition can be subtle. For example, even if technical problems could be solved, there still remains the problem of adequate staffing. Either way, you now have your reader's attention fastened on the problem of adequate staffing, exactly what you set out to do. Transition can be achieved in many ways. Number 1, by using transitional words and phrases. Number 2, repeating keywords or key ideas. Number 3, using pronouns with clear antecedents. And number 4, using enumeration, that is 1, 2, 3 or first, second, third. Number 5, summarizing a previous paragraph. Number 6, asking a question. And 7, using a transitional paragraph. Certain words and phrases are inherently transitional. Consider the following terms and their functions: result, therefore, as a result, consequently, thus, hence. Example, for example, for instance, specifically, as an illustration, comparison, similarly, likewise, in comparison, contrast, but, yet, still, however, nevertheless. On the other hand, addition, moreover, furthermore, also, to, besides, in addition, time, now, later, meanwhile, since then, after that, before that time, sequence, first, second, third, initially, then, next, finally. Within a paragraph, such transitional expressions clarify and smooth the movement from idea to idea. Conversely, the lack of transitional devices can make for disjointed reading. You can achieve effective transition between sentences by repeating keyword or key ideas from preceding sentences and by using pronouns that refer to antecedents in previous sentences. Consider the following short paragraph which uses both of those means. Punjabi University, Patiala is a representative of the cultural milieu of Punjab, the only university in India to be instituted on the basis of language. It has grown, fledged, and has started modern courses. The university has done a yeoman's service to the cause of development of literary studies in the field of Punjabi language. Enumeration is another device for achieving transition. The recommendation rests on two conditions. First, the department staff must be expanded to handle the increased workload. Second, sufficient time must be provided for training the new staff. The means discussed so far for achieving transition between sentences can also be effective for achieving transition between paragraphs. For paragraphs, however, longer transitional elements are often required. One technique is to use an opening sentence that summarizes the preceding paragraph and then moves on to a new paragraph. For example, One property of material considered for manufacturing processes is hardness. Hardness is the internal resistance of the material to forcing apart or closing together of its molecule. Another property is ductility, the characteristic of material that permits it to be drawn into a wire. Material also may possess malleability, the property that makes it capable of being rolled or hammered into thin sheets of various shapes. Purchasing managers must consider these properties before selecting manufacturing materials for use in production. The requirements of hardness, ductility and malleability account for the high cost of such materials. Another technique is to ask a question at the end of one paragraph and answer it at the beginning of the next. If you provide logical organization and have prepared an outline, your transitional needs will easily be satisfied and your writing will have unity and coherence. During revision, look for places where transition is missing and add it. Look for places where it is weak and strengthen it. Now we come to sentence variety and length. Sentences can vary in length, structure and complexity. As you revise, vary your sentences so that they do not become tiresomely alike. A series of sentences of the same length is monotonous, so varying sentence length makes writing less tedious to the reader. For example, avoid stringing together a number of short independent clauses. Either connect them with subordinating connectives, thereby making some dependent clauses, or make some clauses into separate sentences. For example, a string, the river is 63 miles long and it averages 50 yards in width and its depth averages 8 feet. Now, the improved version is the river, which is 63 miles long and averages 50 yards in width, has an average depth of 8 feet. Now, one more improved version is the river is 63 miles long, it averages 50 yards in width and 8 feet in depth. You can often effectively combine short sentences by converting verbs into adjectives. For example, the digital shift indicator failed. It was pulled from the market. And the improved version is the failed digital shift indicator was pulled from the market. Although too many short sentences make your writing sound choppy and immature, a short sentence can be effective following a long one. For example, during the past 2 decades, many changes have occurred in India's common man's life, the extent, durability and significance of which no one has yet measured. No one can. In general, short sentences are good for emphatic, memorable statements. Long sentences are good for detailed explanation and support. Nothing is inherently wrong with a long sentence or even with a complicated one, as long as it is meaningful and it is clear and direct. Sentence length becomes an element of style when varied for emphasis or contrast. A conspicuously short or long sentence can be used to good effect. Now we come to word order. When a series of sentences all begin in exactly the same way, usually with an article and a noun, the result is likely to be monotonous. You can make your sentences more interesting by occasionally starting with a modifying word, phrase or clause. For example, to salvage the project, she presented alternatives when existing policies failed to produce results. However, overuse of this technique itself can be monotonous, so use it in moderation. For variety, you can alter normal sentence order by inserting a phrase or a clause. For example, titanium fills the gap both in weight and in strength between aluminum and steel. The technique of inserting a phrase or clause is good for achieving emphasis, providing detail, breaking monotony, and regulating pace. Experiment with shifts from loose sentences to periodic sentences in your own writing, especially during revision. Avoid the sing-song monotony of long series of loose sentences, particularly a series containing coordinate clauses joined by conjunctions. Subordinating some thoughts to others not only provides emphasis, but also makes your sentences more interesting. Parallel structure requires that sentence elements that are alike in function be alike in grammatical form as well. This structure achieves an economy of words, clarifies meaning, expresses the equality of the ideas, and achieves emphasis. Parallel structure assists readers because it allows them to anticipate the meaning of a sentence element on the basis of its construction. Parallel structure can be achieved with words, phrases, or clauses. Correlative conjunctions, that is either or, neither nor, not only but also, should always join elements that use parallel structure. The same grammatical form should follow both parts of the pairs immediately. Two similar words, two similar phrases, or two similar clauses. Viruses carry either DNA or RNA, never both. Now, this is example of parallel words. Clearly, neither serological tests nor virus isolation studies alone would have been adequate. Now, this is example of parallel phrases. Either we must increase our production efficiency or we must decrease our production goals. Now, this is an example of parallel clauses. Parallel structure is especially important in creating lists, outlines, tables of content, and headings, because it let readers know the relative value of each item in a table of contents and each heading in the body of a document. Now, we come to faulty parallelism. Faulty parallelism result when joined elements are intended to serve equal grammatical functions, but do not have equal grammatical form. Faulty parallelism sometimes occurs because a writer tries to compare items that are not comparable. Now, example is, the company offers special college training to help non-exempt employees move into professional careers like engineering, management, software development, service technicians, and sales trainees. Notice the faulty comparisons of occupations, engineering, management, and software development to people, service technicians, and sales trainees. To avoid faulty parallelism, make certain that each element in a series is similar in form and structure to all others in the same series. Now, this is a parallel structure. The company offers special college training to help non-exempt employees move into professional careers like engineering, management, software development, technical service, and sales. To summarize, we have discussed a number of points related to the sentence writing and structure. We have talked about unity and coherence, sentence structure, etc. We have learned that sentences can vary in length, structure, and complexity. As you revise, Vary your sentences so that they do not become tiresomely alike. A series of sentences of the same length is monotonous. So, varying sentence length makes writing less tedious to the reader. When a series of sentences all begin in exactly the same way, usually with an article and a noun, the result is likely to be monotonous. You can make your sentences more interesting by occasionally starting with a modifying word, phrase or clause. We have learned that parallel structure achieves an economy of words, clarifies meaning, expresses the equality of the ideas and achieves emphasis. Parallel structure assists readers because it allows them to anticipate the meaning of a sentence element on the basis of its construction. I hope the matter discussed was of some use to you all. Thank you so much for watching.